the favor of the gift that you gave them, then they can't. So what are you going to do? If you expect somebody to give you a gift in return even though they can't, then you're not a generous person. So that really destroys the idea of generosity, and you lose face, not the person who can't give you a gift, by demanding the gift. So in that sense, gifts are really suited to surviving hard times because they give people a bigger chance to show their generosity. The ones who still have things to give away, give them away gladly because that raises their social status. And in this sense, gift economies are self-regulating. They're based on an innate systems of ethics that are universal. They're cultural human universals. And they don't, because of that, they don't require governance. They don't need any kind of government control. They don't need legislation. It's all governed through custom and taboo. They also preserve diversity of culture because gifts tend to be unique. They're more highly valued if they're unique than if they're some off-the-shelf product. So if you think about the best gifts, they're the handcrafted, handmade things that are made locally. If you think of your average commercial item, it comes in a shrink-wrap box across the ocean, and it's a standardized item. And in this sense, if gifts are valued above commerce, then you get much more local production. And gifts create social harmony because the competition, such as it is in a gift economy, is in how generous you look. It's not in pursuit of greed or being successful in being greedy. So here's a comparison of the two. The gift giving is motivated by generosity. Any other reason, ulterior motive in giving a gift is generally results in loss of face. Commerce and finance are motivated by greed and fear. Those are, anybody who studies economics will tell you that those are really the dominant emotions. People want more, but they fear losing it. And that governs most economic commercial interactions. Gifts result in reciprocity, which is the debt of gratitude has to be returned. If somebody can't return the debt of gratitude, then that's bad. And commerce and finance results in competition, which is bad for a number of reasons. First of all, competition involves multiple people trying to do the same thing, most of them failing, which is a waste of effort. It's more efficient to have one person do one thing than multiple people try to do the same thing and fail. In gifts, the value is in uniqueness. You want to give a gift that is thoughtful, that's fine-tuned to the person who's receiving it. Whereas in commerce and finance, the value is in standardization, because then you can do mass production and save a lot of money and make more profit. Gifts must be voluntary. If somebody is coerced to give a gift, then that's automatically not a gift. You know, there are some situations where you're absolutely socially expected to give a gift. That's a degenerate case, I would say, because the best gifts, the ones that produce the greatest debt of gratitude, if you will, are the ones that are given freely. But commerce and finance can be coercive. Let me give you one example. I live in Massachusetts. Massachusetts requires me to buy health insurance, which is really a gift to the government. So the government says, you must buy this product, because then you will owe us a debt of gratitude for taking care of you. That's not a real gift at all. Now, gifts have to be personal. You have to know the person you're giving a gift to. So charity, which is anonymous, is not, again, a degenerate case. It's not really a gift at all. I will get into that some more. And commerce is largely impersonal. Everybody gets to pay the same price, and if you give everybody a different price based on how much you like them, then you know, that is the degenerate case of market economy. That's not supposed to happen, and in some cases there are laws against you know, giving different people different prices. Gifts tend to be local, because you give them personally to somebody. You can sometimes ship a gift, but in general, you just give a gift directly. And commerce and finance is rather easily globalized through these impersonal worldwide connections. Gifts are based on an innate system of ethics, which is a cultural universal. Everybody understands what gratitude is. Everybody in the world. I can even think of some animals that understand the debt of gratitude. Like if you take care of a cat, once in a while it'll bring you a mouse, you know? And if you don't, it won't. So even cats get it. And commerce is based on a regulatory regime. It's not even based on laws so much, as we're finding out more and more. So if you're Bank of America, you can get away with not quite murder. I wouldn't go that far, but close. And but if you're some small credit union, then suddenly somebody can just make a rule, and your world changes, and there's nobody you can talk to. Gifts tend to put limits on production because suppose I was going to give you a gold watch. So how much better a gift would it be if I gave you 10 gold watches? Well, that would be just stupid, right? So gifts tend to be self-limiting. Gifts that exceed somebody's needs are generally not such a good idea. Overly lavish gifts are a problem. So a gift economy is really self-limiting as far as production. But commerce and finance are all about maximizing production to take advantage of mass production and to make as much money as possible. There are a lot of practices that involve flooding the market in order to squeeze out your competitors and things like that. That just doesn't exist in a gift economy. So a gift economy conserves resources, whereas a commercial economy squanders resources. Gifts, because the people with the most tend to distribute it by giving gifts, distributes wealth. And commerce and finance tend to concentrate wealth, and you can actually see that in what's happening now. Gifts create trust between people because they're basically entering into a relationship that involves a lot of fine-tuning, a lot of mutual understanding, a lot of understanding each other's needs, whereas with commerce and finance, you're really trying to get the best deal for yourself. So caveat emptor, buyer beware is the principle in commerce everywhere. Now, money, as far as money relates to the gift economy, is problematic in many ways. The gift of money is considered a really bad gift. You know, it's thoughtless. It's tacky. Giving somebody a $100 bill as a present is just kind of insulting in some ways. Now, money is also a useless artifact. It's not very pretty. Very few people frame bills and put them on walls. And ultimately worthless. If you go back 100 years and you have a big pile of money, you tend to use it for bookmarks. You might use it for toilet paper if you run out, kindling, things like that. So it's just a bunch of ugly paper, really, and it's completely useless. And money is used to concentrate power in fewer and fewer hands until the revolution comes and it all gets torched. That's sort of a cultural universal, too. Societies go to a certain level of imposed injustice, and then there's, if you will, a cultural flip, and a whole bunch of people get strung up on lamp poles or have to flee the country and change careers to driving a taxi cab or things like that. And that just happens all over the place all the time. So the money economy goes through crises. It is very difficult to do good by spending money, and this is something that people have a lot of trouble thinking through, but it is really very difficult to spend money in a way that does not contribute to the money economy, which does not necessarily do good. So it's kind of a ratio between undoing a problem and causing other problems, because whenever you spend money, you're causing more problems. So you might be doing good by giving somebody a ride, let's say, but you're doing bad by stimulating the fossil fuel economy because of the gasoline that you burn in the process. And that is just all over the place. And the thing is that by giving gifts that you make that aren't that don't start out as part of the money economy, you can actually achieve a good result. But by spending money, by lavishing money on whatever problem exists, you're just perpetuating a system. And who knows whether you're doing something for the benefit of everyone involved, or if you're harming them. So that's a really important point. It's impossible, close to impossible, to be sure that you're doing good by spending money. So money as a yardstick inspires mediocrity. People in the gift economy try to do their best, but people who try to get money for their labors try to do a job that's just barely good enough, and if it's not good enough, then they hope that they don't get caught. So if you compare, let's say, computer operating systems, you can compare, let's say, Microsoft, which is a commercial operating system, to Linux, which is based on a PhD project started by Linus Torvalds from Finland. And Linux is what powers a lot of the corporate internet servers now. It sets the standard in high reliability software. Everybody swears by it. It never crashes. Linux boxes can sometimes run for many, many, many years without rebooting. They're that reliable. Compare that to Windows, which is just an endless disaster. Why? Because people pay for it. So the use of money concentrates trust in a single authority, in this case the Federal Reserve and our little cabal of banks. And once that trust is violated, what do you do? What do you do when you find out that, Bank of America is run by criminals? You still put your money in there. There's nothing you can do. Well, good for you. But anyway, it's really hard not to deal with the system, even if you know that, it shouldn't be trusted. So once that trust is really lost, which I think it will be at some point, then it's just a really big black hole at the center of society where people can't get anything done in the manner to which they have become accustomed. So gift has some extensions, tribute and barter, and I want to talk about this because gift pure is kind of a pure thing. Gratitude is let's say one of the purest virtues and emotions that we have, and tribute and barter are deviations from it in some ways. So tribute involves recurring gifts and gifts that are made year after year. Two examples are harvest festivals that distribute the bounty of the harvest. There might also be winter festivals that make sure everyone has enough, because the winter and the springtime is when generally everybody starts to starve, or a few people. Barter is periodic exchanges of surplus, generally between neighbors. So this is where kind of efficiency does enter into the picture, but in a good way. Suppose your land is better for growing onions and your neighbor's land is better for growing potatoes. Well, you might specialize then, knowing that once a year at harvest time you will meet up with your neighbor and you will trade sacks of onions for sacks of potatoes. Now, the onion to potato ratio is not really established by a market system. It's established by how big your harvest is and what your neighbor's needs are. Those are the things that you take into account. So it's a little bit more like a gift economy than a market economy in that sense. You don't actually like market to market, because that's a kind of ridiculous in a sense. You just have sacks of stuff and you figure out what to do with them because you're neighbors. Other signs of generosity that are quite possible, very, very reasonable and useful, are community labor, where people basically barter their services for somebody else's services. One thing that typically happens is if you need to move, your friends help you move, and then you help them move. There's reciprocity, where a specific thing is traded for a specific thing. Community facilities are also a really good way to show generosity. So if you have a dock on a lake, you let your neighbors use it and tie up their little boats to it, because then you can throw parties there and everybody has fun. Nobody really cares that it's your dock, so you're giving it as a present to everyone. And gift is really good for most other occasions. So you might establish tribute and barter systems where that makes sense, but gift really plugs up all of the remaining holes, and that's the thing to keep in mind.